As you all know, Logan Paul is the nicest person on earth.
Go
You've been looking at
yourself.
Wait, what is this?
Go yourself. You're going
Okay, maybe not so much at all. Logan Paul, social media influencer, WWE fake fighter, and entrepreneur, is finally receiving the karma we've all been waiting for. So we're gonna break down the psychology along with body language behind the many ways Logan Paul is finally seeing his empire unravel in front of the world. Now, let's get started.
KSI and Logan Paul aren't actually the business masterminds behind it.
Logan Paul seemed to have created the illusion that Prime Drink was owned and operated solely by himself and fellow YouTuber KSI, bragging about it, going on business shows, and presenting himself as some kind of business genius.
You know what we did this year in internal revenue? $1.2
billion.
I have to say I'm proud of it, all right?
You should be.
I'm going to be arrogant for a second and say that's insane. Like two YouTubers founded a hydration company.
However, that wasn't the case at all. Behind the curtain, Prime is actually controlled by a company called Congo Brands and is actually run by two guys, Max Clemens and Trey Steiger. So this company Congo Brands owns a majority stake around 60%, while Logan and KSI each hold about 20% in the company.
Use influencers to create demand, which then causes retailers to stock the stuff.
In other words, they are merely the faces of Prime to create internet hype around the product and don't actually operate the business. Notice here how Logan Paul never mentions the majority owners in Prime.
They built this business up, then approached you to be a brand ambassador?
No, started it from the ground.
Really?
Yeah, we worked on it for, 8 months behind the scenes.
He also often says, "We created a sports drink," making people think that Logan is merely referring to him and KSI.
Starting a lifestyle drink with KSI.
We made a better for you drink.
But in reality, he is legally also referring to Max and Trey. Slick, right? Also, Max and Trey seem to be intentionally quiet about their involvement in Prime, staying completely out of the media, even being extremely vague in their LinkedIns. I was hardly able to find any images of either of them.
I feel like we've definitely come back a little bit. We lost a crucial game. Gave it away against J-Town the last game in the LIT.
And this was the only video I found, and it's Max being interviewed many years ago from his apparent high school basketball days. The real owners of Prime here seem to be intentionally keeping quiet, but why do you think Prime was so happy to lead you to believe that it was just a company owned by KSI and Logan Paul? Yes, psychologically they did that because it made the brand feel more aspirational. If two YouTubers could launch a billion-dollar empire out of thin air, it made kids and fans feel like anything is possible. By projecting himself as one of the masterminds behind Prime, Logan was feeding into a perceived identity he's been apparently trying to build with his young, impressionable audience for years. A completely self-made entrepreneur who grew out of YouTube controversy to become a respected businessman. When Prime was first launched, Logan and KSI's fans were curious about what Prime tasted like and naturally wanted to support their favorite creators. It triggered what's called the scarcity effect. Psychologically, when people believe something is rare or hard to get, they assign it more value. Stores were selling out, kids were lining up, and parents were paying inflated prices just to get their hands on a single bottle. Prime even paid approximately $7 million to have their TV commercial played during the Super Bowl in 2023.
We have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
By constantly promoting Prime and keeping Prime hard to find, Logan and KSI made it feel exclusive. Almost like owning a bottle meant you were part of their elite club.
Mom, a kid today is defined by their hydration drink. I have to have more cred than anyone else.
The Prime frenzy was even depicted on South Park.
You know, the most important thing is just to be yourself. When I feel like I can't be myself, that's when I need a hydration drink that'll pick me up. That's when I need cred. It's the coolest sports drink in the world.
At the time, people were willing to spend sometimes even 100 times the price to get it.
Give me the cred! Start the car! Ben's getting away with the cred!
The scarcity effect in psychology made Prime feel like a treasure, and the perception that their favorite influencers were solely behind it amplified the effect even more.
Cred is 100% sugar-free. Cred has electrolytes so you can ride your bike. And also Cred has more vitamin A than your body could possibly ever use.
I can't feel my face.
Psychologically, fans weren't just buying a sports drink, they were feeling as if they were buying a piece of Logan and KSI's success, a token of belonging in their cruel inner circle.
Drink Cred or you're a piece of shit. Whee!
When you combine scarcity with parasocial loyalty, the product took on a symbolic value far beyond its actual worth. For over a year since it first launched, stores' shelves were empty of Prime. However, when Prime finally signed a big contract with a large bottling company, Refresco, to meet demand, less people wanted it. But why? That's for several reasons. First, there was no scarcity effect anymore since anyone can go to their local grocery store and get as many as they want. But also because it really didn't taste very good.
What is that flavour you got there?
Tropical punch, it says.
Oh, Jesus.
Loosely. You've just come from the Maldives. How tropical
it's like
that?
swallowing perfume. What is that? What do you give it out of 10? 0.
It's just like the most sugary drink that doesn't have sugar in it. Like,
what are they using for a sweetener?
I don't know. That is not good. It tastes like chemicals.
When that scarcity became eliminated and the hype died down, fewer people were repurchasing it because it really just wasn't that good, and it wasn't this status symbol of any sort anymore.
Our hydration option, in my opinion, is so much better.
What a joker.
The specific thing with Prime is that it doesn't have the amount of sodium that you need for optimal hydration, specifically with sweat loss.
Additionally, Prime started to receive a lot of bad media coverage of deceptive marketing practices.
On the left side of your screen is the Prime hydration drink. On the right-hand side is the Prime energy drink. They are very similar in appearance.
Since Prime, during all that hype, was doing so well, the company branched out to then make an energy drink to compete with the Red Bulls of the world.
Prime has now launched a new product, Prime Energy. If you want energy now, drink Prime. It's better for you.
However, they use the same branding that they use for Prime Hydration, and only in small lettering did the product say energy.
Say that's preposterous. One is in a can and says energy drink on it. The other's in a bottle. It says hydration drink on it.
Gatorade made a high caffeine energy drink, but called it Fast Twitch. They didn't just call it Gatorade and put it in a can with small lettering that said energy. But that's basically what Prime did. They used the same branding of regular Prime, put it in a can, and slipped that adult energy drink with 200 milligrams of caffeine right into the same aisle, surely knowing kids and parents would grab it without realizing the difference.
The drink comes in two forms: energy and hydration.
Psychologically, that apparent deceptive marketing blurred the line between a sports drink and a high stimulant energy drink.
A better for you caffeinated beverage to add to our hydration line.
Apparently banking on brand loyalty and consumer confusion.
Logan Paul is a parasite!
To make it worse, Logan and KSI promoted the energy version of Prime almost identically to how they promoted the hydration drink of Prime. Same tone, same hype, same fan-driven marketing, which only deepens the feeling of deception, creating apparent confusion.
There's a guy at home asked me if you were like an asshole or a jerk. It's kind of a dipshit.
Some parents surely thought they were buying the same drink their kids have been begging for, when in reality, they were unknowingly handing over something that could be seriously harmful to them.
One's in a can and says energy, the other's in a bottle and says hydration. So we make as much of a distinction as we can.
It's common knowledge among parents that alcohol consumption is dangerous, but few know that excessive caffeine consumption is also very dangerous. From a neuropsychological perspective, the real danger in Prime Energy comes from the extremely high caffeine content. At 200 milligrams a can, that's roughly the equivalent of a 6-pack of Coca-Cola delivered all at once to their nervous system that's still developing.
It bites. I feel a little kick going. Oh my god. That one was rough. The end, it tastes like mothballs?
Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in the brain, which normally signal to the body to slow down and rest. Without those signals, the central nervous system is pushed into overdrive. Heart rate increases, blood pressure spikes, and the brain's stress pathways start firing constantly. This leads to anxiety, panic attacks, sleep disruption, and impaired focus, which these effects are amplified in adolescence, whose prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-control and decision-making, is still under construction.
200 milligrams.
That is too much for any growing child. And that much caffeine can cause some adverse effects, such as disrupted sleep, mood disorders, upset stomach, even abnormal heart rhythms.
In extreme cases, high doses of caffeine can increase heart rate, trigger arrhythmias, and even provoke seizures in vulnerable individuals. And what's worse is the long-term impact. Repeatedly flooding the developing brain with high levels of caffeine can actually rewire stress response systems, making the brain more reactive to everyday stressors. Sleep cycles can be chronically disrupted, impairing memory consolidation and learning. Over time, this can contribute to mood disorders like anxiety and depression, as the brain's dopamine and serotonin systems are thrown off balance. Essentially, too much caffeine at a young age doesn't just cause short-term jitters, it leaves a lasting impact on how the brain handles stress, reward, and emotional regulation for years. A lot of parents do not know how dangerous these energy drinks really are.
Senator Chuck Schumer is calling on the FDA to investigate the energy drink Prime, which he says is being marketed to children and contains the caffeine equivalent of 6 cans of Coca-Cola.
And when the media and politicians caught on to what Prime was doing with their energy drink, what do you think happened? Right, the backlash was massive, framing Prime as reckless, manipulative, and willing to risk children's health just to boost their sales.
Several more energy drinks have been recalled by Canada. The removal of Prime energy drinks on Wednesday.
The energy drink has been pulled from some grocery stores because children have reported being confusing the two beverages.
This caused many stores and regions of the world to ban the product, causing their sales to further plummet. Now, Prime sales have recently just completely fallen off a cliff. Back in 2023, Prime was riding high, pulling in over $1.2 billion in global sales.
2 YouTubers founded a hydration company and did $1.2 billion revenue in their second year.
At its peak, it was moving an estimated $140 million a month in sales. However, by mid-2024, sales collapsed by more than 70% to just $40 million, where it is now estimated that for every dollar coming into the company, they're losing $3. On top of that, the company was estimated to be sitting on 98% debt compared to equity. Yes, if those estimates are correct, they are up to their eyeballs in debt. Also, what do you think happens when a company's revenue crashes while they have a ton of debt on their balance sheet? Right, bankruptcy.
Everyone is suing Logan Paul, which is weird because he seemed like he took legal obligations so seriously. The U.S. Olympic Committee is suing Paul for trademark infringement, and Prime's manufacturer said that Paul breached their contract when sales of the drinks started to tank.
Prime is now being sued by Refresco for violating their big contract to have massive amounts of their drink bottled that they signed when Prime was flying high.
This is not a cheap process.
Psychologically, this is a classic trap of overconfidence and hubris. Signing massive supply deals that could tank your company at the peak of hype without apparently planning for what may possibly happen when the hype dies down. And when you combine plummeting sales, unsustainable debt, and multi-million-dollar lawsuits, you have near certain bankruptcy. And now the founding face of the company, whose carefully crafted image is quickly unraveling in public.
So shut up!
Use us as some branding opportunity to buy another Pokemon card.
Logan Paul seems to psychologically thrive on projecting strength and confidence. His entire brand is built on convincing the world that he's untouchable. However, what happens when that facade crumbles? Right, the stress begins to hit him hard. The pressure of maintaining an image that no longer matches reality creates constant psychological strain, leading to anxiety and irritability.
You actually don't want to beat them because they get super mad, and then it turns into intermarital problems.
Now watch this clip of Logan exiting the vehicle ahead of his wife Nina and see if you notice anything odd, and then we'll break it down. Yes, Logan's newly wedded wife, Nina, tried to trip him twice while he was exiting the vehicle in an apparent attempt to prevent him from leaving and possibly keep him talking to her. However, Logan steps over Nina's attempt to trip him and angrily storms away. That flash of apparent stress and anger isn't solely about Nina, but may involve stress boiling over involving Prime. The weight of Prime's inevitable collapse, numerous legal troubles he's currently dealing with, both civil and criminal, public criticism, the looming threat of Prime's potential bankruptcy, and financial troubles all compound into constant psychological pressure. And remember, this isn't a private failure. This is playing out in front of the entire world. The public humiliation of Prime's collapse cuts deeper than just lost revenue. It strikes at Logan's core identity. For someone like Logan, who thrives on being seen as untouchable and publicly stating he wants to become a billionaire, and seeing all that unravel so publicly magnifies the stress he is currently experiencing. Logan and Nina probably had one of the oddest weddings you'll ever see. Watch this clip of their first dance and then we'll break it down.
Thanks for coming, boys.
Thank you guys.
First, we have Logan ignoring Nina, and when they go for their first dance, he refuses to be close to Nina, and oddly pulling away from his new wife when she attempts to get close to him. And of course, Logan's brother Jake, who's a boxer, randomly decided to fight his brother's wedding cake.
I don't think anyone got to eat the wedding cake because Jake just started boxing it.
Yep.
Jake just started throwing hands on the wedding cake like it was a heavy bag.
It just looked so punchable.
Yes, of course he did. And just when things couldn't get any worse for Logan,
the investigations by the SEC and the FBI looking into Logan Paul directly for his involvement in the Crypto Zoo and Dink Doink projects.
The FBI and SEC are investigating Logan Paul criminally for some of his other crypto business projects, where it seems that CoffeeZilla may have acted as a whistleblower. CoffeeZilla's investigations on his YouTube channel seem to have exposed serious red flags, such as alleged rug pulls, possible false promises, and allegedly causing millions of dollars to vanish from investors, which seems to have drawn attention of federal authorities. Therefore, it's possible that Logan isn't just dealing with Prime and civil penalties, but there may be criminal charges that could possibly land Logan Paul behind bars. Logan Paul apparently wanted to be remembered as a billionaire business mind, but instead he may be remembered as the face of one of the most spectacular influencer collapses in history. Prime's implosion, numerous lawsuits, and apparent federal investigations all seem to point to a legacy of apparent deception leading to his infamous downfall.
Don't get why Logan treats me this way. It's sociopathic level lack of empathy for his younger brother, and he's constantly trying to tear me down.
Jake is a tough guy, but he's also sensitive, and I'm an asshole. It's not a good combo.
In the end, the karma he's dodged for years has finally caught up to him, and this time, there's no escape.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Logan can't make a fake apology video to get out of this one. And when Prime finally goes bankrupt, do you think Logan's gonna try to spin the story? Yes, he'll point fingers at the majority owners, Max and Trey, the same people he kept hidden in the shadows for so long, to conveniently make it seem like he was just a face and he had no control.
Like this?
Painting himself as just the innocent frontman who got dragged into their mess. And now in the comments, why do you think Logan Paul always seems to be involved in these major controversies and shady business deals? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. I never tasted any of the Prime drinks, have you? I was gonna buy one and try it on camera here for the first time, but I really don't want to be supporting Logan Paul financially in any way at all. See you next time.